Oh. Okay. Hello. So, we are going to take a keyboard apart, but I did happen upon another 1541 disk drive. So I thought, well, what the heck? I accidentally plugged it in when it was turned on, but I've never had anything bad happen from that. So. And it doesn't look any worse than what it was. So, let's see. There's our test disk. Turn this on, turn that on. Monitor, computer, disk drive. There is no joystick trouble at this moment, so everything went fine. I will attempt to load the directory. And it loaded. Good. Well, that means this one got a little scanned. This one is another long one. Original one. Well, not original. It has the rainbow logo and the flippy door. I always like the flippy door much better than the pop-down door. I did. So, I think we'll take apart a keyboard to a 128. And why? Well, I need some of these keys. Now, one thing I try to do, because you never know, is put the screws away carefully in case I might need them. And I believe, just over here, I have some envelopes just for that, I believe. Oh. Yes, I do. Oh, no I don't. I have some ones that I've done. What happened to the other ones? Oh. What I have been doing, oh, here they are. What I've been doing is I've been using airmail envelopes. Not that I intend to mail them. So, let me just look here. Oh, bother. Well, this may not go well. This keyboard has little bolt kind of headed things rather than screw headed things holding the keyboard in place, and I may not have that here handy, ready to go. I don't think I've ever seen that before. See, I have over here a bag of another time that I took a 128 keyboard apart, and there are no bolts. There are just screws. Oh God, can't anything be simple? So, yes, very badly yellowed Commodore 128. This is where I would take these, looks like six bolts. They should be screws, but they're bolts. Out. Well, all is not lost, because over here, I have another 128. It has a little thing on it that I put on a while back, and it says that it is dead. There is no response, which probably means a fuse, if there is such a fuse. I don't know. But we'll have a look at this. Okay. I think I can very quickly get this one into the same state as that one. So on the bottom of the 128, there are 6 places for screws. Two at the top, 3 at the bottom, 1 in the middle. This 128 has a little switch on the side. Hello. Which maybe means, oh, there we go, 3 screws. It might have Jiffy DOS in it. Or it, you know, it could be something else. I just don't know. But I'll find out. So once these screws are out, I should pretty much be able to do the keyboard. So there are 6 screws from a 128. And as I am trying to keep things together, I will take those 6 screws, I will put them in an airmail bag. 1, 2. And I did bring a marker. Of course, I do not want to, this is kind of a Sharpie thing, I don't want to write on something that it's going to go through. So I will be careful. 128 outer case screws 6. Good. I'll put that over there. Okay. For those of you who have been here before, even though I just fed Mr. Sheldon, he has appeared. Okay, so here is the 128 with no response. Once I open it, I've got to unplug the keyboard and undo the power connector, and then there's 1 screw that must be undone. It is the ground screw. So I'm not going to delve into the 128, but yes, I see it does have Jiffy DOS in here. So now, what kind of things does this have? Oh, this keyboard also has bolts, or the heads like little nuts. Great. So now I have 2 keyboards that I can't open. Great. Anyway, I have removed the screw, the ground strap, which is at the bottom right hand corner, but I'll put that screw back in. And you see, this is a 128. It's got some slime inside, which probably means somebody was drinking something close by and it spilled in it. That could be why it's not working. Here's where Jiffy DOS goes, and you can tell it's like up a bit because these little fingers have been modified to fit. And there's a little switch here, and it goes back and forth, back and forth. So that is not helpful. Oh dear. So I'm not going to take that keyboard apart. So I have here this Commodore 64 that looks pretty fine, is missing a key. But I think the stem is broken off so that I couldn't even put another one on it. Lets me get my extra strong magnifying glasses. Yeah, it's all broke. Now, I do have to take apart, though, the Commodore 64 keyboard. Just bear with me, because I think I have one handy. Okay, a Commodore 64. Now, at some point, in August of 2014, I said Works has keyboard issues. Works sound okay, cartridge okay, 9 plus 0 keys. Oh, okay, the 0 key seems to be missing its spring, and the 9 key is missing, and the stem is broken. Anyway, just to make sure that that is still the case, because you never know. It's only been almost 4 years since I was tidying up before. I will hook this up, and indeed it comes up. And guess what? The 0 key immediately comes up as if it's down because there's a string missing. Alright, so, but it does seem that it works. That's good. We'll put that here for a second. If I have to take one apart, maybe I'll try and find one that doesn't work. But you know what? Over here, where you can't see, I'm sure I have another one. Okay, so here I have another Commodore 64. It says pretty dead, 64 C dirty, flash a screen, cartridge does not work, wakes disk drive. Perhaps it's a video chip. Now, oh dear. As I look at it, oh, it has Torx screws. And I know somewhere I have a Torx screwdriver. Let me just check my bag of tools here. Oh, wait. Look, I have multi-bits. And if I remember rightly, this is maybe a T15. Ow. It's stuck. Ow. Maybe it's not. No, it's a T10, which I do have. Oof. But I have to see if I have a screwdriver to stick it in. I will very carefully put the T15 back in here. Now, do I have in my little bag of tricks a screwdriver that will work? Oh, well, partly. I have the end of a screwdriver, which still needs a screwdriver. But maybe, depending how tight these are, maybe I can do this. Oh yeah, it's coming. Okay, that's one. Undoubtedly, I'll be able to get 2 out of 3. And the Commodore 64 of this vintage, there are 3 outer screws, all at the bottom. And as it seems, they are Torx 10. So I've loosened, there we go. I have loosened 3 out of 3. And I will put them carefully on the top of the 1701 monitor, which I can now turn off. And then I will try to open it. Oh, something. Ooh. Are there more screws? No, there are not screws. They're just... Oh, there we go. There are clippy things. So... And this one is dirty inside. Oh my word. So here's the top. Here's the guy. I think I can get the LED out of it. Haha, look at that. There's the LED. Anyway, the case is kind of dirty. But, you never know. But it'll fit nicely right there. So what I am going to do though, is I'm going to rescue these envelopes. I'll take this one, pop the LED in it, and then I'm going to write C64 LED. And then we're going to put it over here. And since I have screws here for the 64 case that I don't think is going back on, 1, 2, 3, I will write 64C outer case screws. And then I will put them over here. Okay. So, I see a lot of dust in here. And the heat, not the heat shield, but it also acts as a heat shield. The shield is kind of rusty, yes. So, as I look at this here, I'm happy to see that I believe I only have to take out 2 screws, and that they are Phillips screws, and I can do this. I hope. So, there are 2 more screws. Oh yeah. There is a keyboard. Oh, you can't. It is too dusty inside. Oh. This, yeah, there's lots of dust in here. This one has the very small circuit board. Well, not very small compared to today, but the circuit board, and there's still holes here in the case. Used to go another 1.5 inches or 2. Anyway, at some point, I'll have a look at that. See what's what. But right now, I have this keyboard. Now, as there are a lot of screws coming out, I might just as well take these 2, put them in an envelope, and mark them 64C keyboard, holding screws. 2. And then put that over there. So, now I realize one thing I would probably need is a soldering iron, which I do not have handy here. but I will try to get this apart. Now, at this moment, I do not need this here. And I really don't need that there. And I really don't need that there. I don't. Because what I can do now is I can take this dusty keyboard up here. I can look for a little tiny Phillips screwdriver. And I can, oh, no, that one does not fit. It is important, especially with these tiny little screws, to have screwdrivers that don't twist around. Aha! That they actually fit in very well, because if you strip the head, I mean, they're already tiny. So look, here's an airmail envelope. In the box, on the bottom of the keyboard, there are a vast number of screws. Vast number. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There are 23. Some of them are underneath that. Ooh. Even when you have a screwdriver that fits, some of them are testy. So with each screw that comes out, I am going to put it immediately into the envelope, because otherwise I might lose them. And also, in the distance, somewhere out there, I hear Sheldon. And I bet he might like these. So I never take them out in any particular pattern, because it really doesn't matter. It does not. And although I should be worried that I don't have a soldering iron right handy here, I'm not terribly, because you see, every time I'm worried, because there are these two little things that attach to the shift lock key. And then I thought, oh well, if I want to use the bottom of this keyboard again, I'll need that, okay. And it's true, I will. But I've never reused one yet. I suppose if somebody needed one, that would be an issue. So I'm suspecting what I'm going to end up doing is just snipping the wires. I'm now on, I don't know, maybe you've been counting. I'm on, ooh, that's a tough one. I'm on a lot of the screws. I think I'm more than half done. I wonder if when these keyboards were put together, if somebody somewhere had to put all these in one at a time. I would like to think that if they were done by people, that they were well paid. And if they weren't done by people, that they were done by a machine that was well lubricated as well as well paid. So we're getting there. I think I have about 8 left. About 3 of them are under, there's plastic, basically sort of like packing tape that covers 3 of them, I think it is. That's where the wires are. Alright, almost there. Oh, funny as we age gracefully, sometimes I get a little tingling. Now, I have all the screws except for the ones under the tape. The tape has been there for a very long time. I was afraid it will do damage when I take it off, but no, it didn't really. But this screw, oh boy, that was tough. I wonder if there was some tape residue in the head. Boing. So 2 to go. Alright. We're down to the last screw. The tape. Oh. I hate the feel of stickiness on my hand. So I'm actually going to lay the cable down. And I'm going to put the tape back down, kind of, sort of. And then I'm going to lift up and see that, oh yes, I'm down to the last screws. Okay, and I do not have a soldering iron. So, I think I'm going to go into my tool thing here. Oh. Well, I have pliers, but I'm not just sure if they will be any help. It's the cutting business. Oh, no, there's no cutting thing here. There's a screwdriver with no bit. Handy. Very handy. Now it is always possible. I really don't want to hurt the shift key. Because they're, you know, unique and special. But aren't we all? So I'm going to twist this a little. See, oh there. With a little twisting back and forth, I was able to get the wire to snip. About maybe 2/3 of the way along, which isn't terrible, I suppose. So I'll try and do the same with this. It leaves some of the, haha, look at that, it snapped. Okay, so now this should come off. And of course I will very carefully set it aside, and I will probably very much wonder why later, because I've never, except when I'm putting one back together for this, you know, for the goodness of all, like taking one apart and putting it back together, I have never, like, disassembled one to put back together. Sorry, to just take apart and then, like, I've never taken one apart for parts and then needed the base. Whew. So, this is mighty dusty. Now what I would like to use here, I don't have. Usually, oh, there we go. Usually I use a fork. Oh boy, there's a lot of sludge. Now, before I forget, I have an airmail envelope with 23 screws. So, 64 C23 tiny screws, keyboard. And of course, I'll toss that over there. Now, here we have a whole other situation. These springs are springy. And also, once you take the top off, then the bottom wants to fall off. So, I don't have a plastic bag handy, so I'm just going to take, and each time I get one off, you know what, I don't just like prying them off with my hand. They've been on here a very long time, and they are delicate. So there's the number one. There's a spring. There's a, oh, and underneath, look, there's the stem. So usually when I'm using a screwdriver like this, I find that if I pry gently from both sides, dust, I can get them off. Now, why am I taking this keyboard apart? Why? Oh, that one went well. Excellent question. Well, on occasion, I get calls from people who are missing a key. Because, and usually it's a top thing or a corner thing or, you know, something happens. These machines are now 30 some years old, they get packed away, they get bumped, you know, something happens. Oh, look, stems. And a key gets hit. And off they come. But as long as you use, I would say, firm, gentle pressure, and usually I go along a row at a time, that gives you somewhere to get underneath. These keys are white. And they're kind of tall compared to some others. And these ones are indeed dusty. But they're coming pretty well. And look, stems. So I suppose, looking back on this, maybe I should have had 3 envelopes on the go. Because I'm going to have to sort through these, I suppose, at some point. But right now, I just don't want the springs to fly away or fall, as they can do. Ugh. I'm not sure if this is just dust. I guess it kind of looks like dust. Oh, there's a function key. And undoubtedly, somewhere along this process, one key. It always seems there's one that doesn't want to come. Oh, look, stems. Or I go to do it and somehow it's in there harder than it should be, and the stem breaks off. Oh, here's a key that everybody wants. Control. Although, it's funny, I find there's very few programs that actually use the control key, at least on the Commodore 64, but it's there. As they say, there's a spring. Got it. Now, we're cooking with gas. Now, what I do with these afterwards, these are looking pretty good, but still, with all the dust and all the muck and everything, and I'll show you this later. Actually, it's funny, I just got a message from a guy who put some solution on his pet keys and basically ruined the looks of the keys. They were not bad, but whatever chemical he decided, or somebody told him to try, it really didn't go well. So what I should, oh dear. Right, time to get some stems. What I generally do is, with the tops of the keys, is I take a great big freezer bag, and I put in warm water from a tap, as warm as it will get from a tap, but not boiling, like boiling from a kettle. And then I put them in there, some dish soap, and I shake them with some vigor for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And then I just let them soak. And generally the water, which starts fairly clear, except for whatever the dish soap is, once it's all settled, usually the water looks somewhat worse. Oh, hang on, stems. And then I dump out the water, being careful not to dump any keys down the drain, because sometimes they will try and come out. Good to have a strainer in the drain. And then I look at the keys if they need more. I'll of course repeat the whole hot water process with the soap. If they look okay, then I'll repeat the process without the soap. Okay, we're down to the second row. We're at the run stop key. And the stem is trying to fall off. Now here's the shift lock key. And it's its own special creature. You have to gently take a screwdriver I think. And there's little, oh, here it comes, Yeah, on the top and the bottom, there are little itty bitty fingers. So you gently push, and out it comes. Once again, this whole plastic menagerie that holds the keys, I've never reused one, except when taking apart a strange keyboard that needs to go back together as it was. There we go. But I always seem to keep them. Because I suppose I'm waiting for that one person in the distance to say, I've got all the parts and somehow I screwed up the part that holds the keys. Or who knows. Maybe someday I'll make some artsy thing out of them. Or maybe they'll end up being recycled. I have a feeling this airmail envelope is not going to hold everything. So, oh. But I gave it a shake. Maybe it's time for another. It's also time, like the 7th inning stretch. Woo! Because my hand is getting a little tingly. Alright. So there's a whole bunch of keyboard letters, characters, things, and we'll carry on. Oh, it is not surprising. I've heard stories about keyboards, and apparently many years ago, when still computers were fairly new, and they had a lot of, I guess they were just terminals, the Globe and Mail, one of the newspapers in Toronto, they had extra keyboards, and when keyboards started to not work well, they quite literally would soak them in water and hang them up to dry. Not take anything apart, just give them a bath and hang them, and I think they let them dry for a week or two, and then they would test them, and then it would be time probably to replace somebody else's keyboard. I don't know what kind they were, I don't know what protection they had inside, but I would say, if you're thinking of doing that, don't. But it's a good story. Okay, we're coming down, we're now on the equals key. Gently, gently, blow off the dust. Here's the return key. This is one that often gets snapped. I don't know why, it's bigger. Return to sender. Boy, there's a lot of dust. Okay. So, we're down to 2 function keys. Function keys are also, I'm very careful with them because they, being that they're off by themselves and at the side, they are ones that are very likely to be requested. Oh, did that go okay? It did. I think. Yep, that's all good. So one more function. This is F7, F8. And it's got a lot of dust. Okay. Oh. Okay, that's alright, no wonder. It's hanging over. And the stem fell out. Okay, so we're down to the Commodore key. I've always thought, oops, and at some point I will gather maybe some Commodore keys off of machines and turn them into pins that I can wear. I have not done it yet, but at some point I will. I guess the thing I have to figure out is what kind of thing to use to turn them into a pin. I'm sure it's, well, it's going to be some kind of a long thing like a little nail or something, but then how to properly secure it. Oh dear. Happened. Oh, look at that. The key stem is sitting in the front of the disk drive. Okay. I figured out how to secure it, and if you look at these keys, wow, here's the X. It shouldn't be too bad. There's like an X in the middle. So basically I have to find a little thing that I can stick in there that will be the right side and the right length to turn it into a pin that I can wear, and then the X will make a good place to hold the glue. And but it's just about having the right length, the right size, the right thickness, so that it works well and that the pin is secure and that nobody gets stabbed, like that the thing isn't too long. I suppose with the right accessories you could make cufflinks, but that would take 2 Commodore 64s to make 1 pair of cufflinks. And the Commodore key is actually one that is often requested because it too is at the side. Oh, look at that, stems. And it sometimes gets broken. Or maybe people just want them because they want to make a pin out of them. Alright, so I don't remember how many keys there are, but we're down to 5 sort of regular keys, and then the space bar. And the space bar is usually a little tricky. Okay, because there's only one connector that hits the board, but there's this long wire thing, and you gotta get it just so. Alright, 1 regular key, the cursor key. And then some stems. And there we have a piece of plastic that was a keyboard. So, the place that the space bar is in the middle. So you have to, much the same as everything else, you have to very gently pry to get that to release. Okay, we have resolution. So the spring pops out. I think it might be a little tougher than the others. Yeah, it is. I'm going to put it in. Where am I? I'm going to put it right there. Oh, I'm going to put it on the monitor. It is tougher. Of course, the spacebar takes more of you. So here, oh, there's the stem. Okay, so here we have the little rod thing. And the way you have to get it out is you have to slide the spacebar and bend the rod as you do it ever so slightly, and then pull it off the other side. And then we have the spacebar. Whoa, dusty. Now, the rod itself, which may be needed, sort of snaps into place. But if I remember rightly, if you just turn it just so, sometimes, oh, okay, just pull up, and you can get it out. So there is a Commodore 64 keyboard. That's what's left. So far, and I'll carefully, of course, carefully set this aside, because I'll never use it again. But you never know. So, there. One keyboard now in 2 bags. Almost looks like popcorn. So at some point later, but not today, not now, I will get a sandwich bag or a big bag like this, and I'll show you how I clean the keys. Oh, boy, what a dusty mess this is. Oh, now, you know, I do want to check, if I can carefully, without causing a disaster. I want to look at this spring and compare it to another spring. See the space, oh yeah, the space bar spring is special. Great. It is bigger. Do I have something here to put it in? Well, I suppose what I could do is I could take an airmail envelope and I could write, careful not to damage the 64, 64C space bar spring bar, and what else was that? Wire. Because they're kind of all unique. I think it's worth it to take the spring and the spacebar and the wire that I just put in, and pull it all in its own little bag. Put it over there. Oh. So, this little screwdriver I found, it has no bit and it is broken. I'm going to do something miraculous. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not going to put it back in with my other stuff so that I find it again later. And I think what I'm going to do, although I'm not sure it should go in recycling, I think I'm going to put it in the recycling bin. Why? Well, because it's easy and it's simple, and hopefully it gets to somewhere good. because there's nothing I can do with it here. It does not unscrew. There's no way to put anything else back into it. But of course, not that I'm a hoarder, but if I were, I would keep this, which I have done many times. So, there. We have a Commodore 64 keyboard all to bits, and at some point we'll do the same with a 128. But for now, have a good day. We will meet again.